Guys, I can see my house from here. Oh, welcome to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris, and today we're discussing Chapter 5 of Ender's Game by Orson Scott Card. Ender arrives at battle school. He's assigned quarters and starts to observe everything around him. He sees older children playing a sophisticated game, figures it out, and actually challenges and beats one of the older kids. Also, Bernard, the kid whose arm he broke on the flight, is in the same room as him, and they have something of a conflict. We're going to discuss all of that coming up next. Hello, welcome to the Doctors Who podcast. My name is Chris.
My name is Chip.
My name is Brian.
And we are covering Chapter 5 of Ender's Game. So, this one's called Games, fittingly. And now that we have arrived in battle school, I feel like it's really starting to pick up, so why don't we jump in?
Yeah, this one was it was kind of fun. We kind of get a little bit of layout of what battle camp is like. We also get more insight into Ender and how quickly he kind of figures things out and applies the knowledge he learns. So, creating a fake account in the computer, embarrassing Bernard through whatever messaging system they were using. And consider this was written in the late 70s, early 80s, so...
Mm-hmm. Pretty sure it wasn't AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah, it was like a name. Yeah. But, anyway. I don't know. But, it's kind of fun to see, him to start kind of peppering those little seeds of Ender's growth and his, knowledge expanding.
So I thought this was an interesting chapter because it's almost like the part deux of the school scenes, because this is the second time we've seen Ender at the beginning of a classroom setting, and I kind of wondered as we read through this if it would have the same sort of ending as the first one did, with those kids after class that wanted to beat him up after the monitor was removed. So it was kind of a really interesting twist, in my opinion, from Card to make this similar to what we've seen before, but put that element of space, sea, camp sort of tech on top of it. So I thought that was fascinating. But to Chip's point too, how fascinating it is that Ender has been able to pick up on all these nuances. They keep talking about how these classes are the best of Earth and humanity, and Ender still seems to be picking things up way faster still. So it says a lot about his character and where the military, the IF, wants him to be.
So I think from my perspective, we knew in the last chapter that the kid whose arm he broke was going to come back, right? So they're in the same quarters. It introduces some tension, some growth opportunity, and also some conflict, and it kind of those little epitaphs at the beginning of each chapter where you kind of get Graff's outlook on things. I think it kind of it's all intentional. This is all part of their plan to mold him into what they need him to be. And I think it's fascinating that he sees these games that the older kids are playing, and just by watching, he's like, "Oh, okay, I figured this out." And I don't want to say that him beating the older kid was predictable, but I almost feel like it was. And I think some of that has to do with when this was written, right? Now, new books coming out in the last 10 years, there's this, this idea that they kind of have to subvert expectations because it's all been done. And I think this is prior to that. So you didn't have as much as like, oh, we're going to make it look like this, but really it's going to end like this type thing, right? So that was just kind of an observation as I was reading through. It's like, trying to take the context of when this was written, there wasn't this large body of science fiction work out there. I mean, there was like serial Star Trek novels and stuff like that, but those are schlocky. I love them, but they're schlocky. So,
well, and to put this in perspective, I think this book was written, I don't have my book in front of you, but I want to say
77 or something like that?
The short story, I think, was written in 77, and the book was published in...
79? was the number I had in my mind.
85.
Or 85. Okay.
So
Okay.
that's what I remember reading, is that he'd kind of written a short story or some draft of it in 77 and then expanded it into the full book in, looks like 85.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, and this one was always different, or not, I haven't read this one, but from like Heinlein and Asimov and kind of the pioneers in science fiction, they, is very technically driven, where this is a very character driven sci-fi story, which I like the character driven stuff
It
better
is.
myself.
Hard sci-fi can be difficult to follow,
For sure.
and it's tough to do it well
Yeah.
because you can't have it so dry that you don't care.
Mm-hmm.
So, and really, I think what this chapter kind of was for me was it's like, okay, we kind of had that introduction where he's on Earth. This is really the start of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is setting the stage. This is getting you acclimated to what battle camp is like. It's getting you acclimated to some of the people that he's going to have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of this jumping off point for me. That, okay, well, he's got his quarters. He's got Dap, who's their mom.
Mm-hmm.
And, he's got this feud with Bernard, who,
I think what's kind of interesting in this one too, and I think we caught glimpses of it in the other chapters, but how Ender is able to read people as much as he can read technology and kind of assume kind of things that are going to happen from a technical standpoint. He's also kind of reading the classroom. He knows he's got this kind of beef with Bernard, but he kind of figures out how to address it without getting physical, or that he basically realizes what Bernard's weakness is and goes after that. So it's pride, and he's scared of things, so he wants to appear tough. And as soon as Ender embarrasses him, it brings him down a peg, and all of a sudden, he kind of sees the balance of how this team might work.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of setting up, those conflicts and those things that are going to, play out and maybe conclude in the next couple of chapters. So, well, it was really an intro for me.
I thought so too, but I still fall back a little bit on, Ender was going up into space for battle camp, hoping that this would be different from his time on Earth, but he's still finding that he has problems and enemies even in space. So I think it just doubles down on the fact that humanity is humanity regardless of where it is.
Very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so next time we will be jumping right into chapter 6, which is called Giant's Drink. So if you did enjoy this, we invite you to click the thumbs up. Please like our videos. That's very helpful for the great algorithm to promote us. Also, if you're not subscribed, we invite you to click that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so that when we post new content, you get notified. And lastly, if you have anything to add, if you have any questions, any comments, please leverage the comment section because we will engage and we will get back to you. Thank you very much for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you next time. And until then,
Allons-y.